Hello and good afternoon. My name is Natalie Bradford, and today I'm going to be going over my cyber project, which I've decided to talk about cyberbullying in the workplace. And to do that, I am streaming from a location inside University of Louisville's Ekstrom Library Digital Media Center. The reason why I chose this location is that because we're talking about cyberbullying, I thought it would be great to talk to you from a location where the internet and technology is actually used for good. Sadly, though, there are many circumstances where people are using it to harm others, and they're doing it to harm workplace relationships. I wanted to talk to you all first about a personal experience that I had with cyberbullying and how it affected me. I had been a teacher for many years, and we decided to get instant messaging. As a teacher, I loved it. I believed that it would give a way for my students to message me privately if they had any type of issues and they didn't want to raise their hand in class. However, quickly we found that some students were not using it as a technology tool, but as a technology instrument to harm others. An instance would be where one of the students was very upset that another teacher was coming over to help them and assist them, but they also were monitoring what they were doing in the chat. At one point, the student had actually written an instant message to another student saying that if the teacher walked over to them again, that they were going to cut them with a knife. Now, what the students at that point didn't know is that their instant messaging was being monitored. And we were able to see this threat and terminated the associate. Another example of this was where we actually had a couple that was in the same class. They had decided to engage in a relationship starting in the class. And they were using instant messaging to each other to first make sexual advances and also to make threats against others in the classroom should they feel threatened in the relationship. At this point, we decided as a company that we needed to both establish an instant messaging doctrine and to make it part of our ethics and compliance issues, because people needed to know that there were repercussions if you did not use instant messaging correctly. Also, that it was being monitored for trigger words. That way, if someone was threatening or making any type of threatening accusations, our IT department would be triggered and know that it needed to be handled and talked about. So those are some ways that I saw bullying taking place as a teacher. But let's talk about how it can go even further. As I was doing my research, I found that Vital Smarts did a survey of 3,000 people on the topic of workplace bullying. Of those 3,000 people, 96% of the respondents reported that they felt like they had been bullied in the workplace. 62% believed that bullying was a way of sabotaging their work or a reputation. 52% believed that they were being beaten, or threats and intimidation was made against them. It's very interesting to think about it this way for cyberbullying. Let's go back to that 62% of people who believed that the bullying came from sabotaging their work. There was an instance where there was a woman who was part of a work group, and she was being emailed the times and locations that the group was meeting. She was being emailed by one of the group members. Whenever she would report to the assigned location, the meeting had already taken place and everyone was leaving. At first, she believed that it was just a coincidence. The time was wrong. But then, as the weeks had gone by, the second, third, and fourth time, she was missing these assignments, and then it reflected bad on her work. It made her look as if she was the one who was not committing to the group, when in all actuality, she was given the wrong time. After the fourth time, she went to her leadership to show them the emails that she had received. And then when they compared it to the group's emails, they saw that the time had actually been changed. Sadly, the woman who was sending it to her was trying to sabotage her work. That is one of the dangers of cyberbullying in the workplace. Because if you do not stick up for yourself or stand up for yourself, it could look like you are not following through on certain assignments and this person is intimidating you. Sadly, workplace bullying has resulted in deaths. In Fairfax County, Virginia, a firefighter was being called derogatory names. She was a female firefighter, and what they found was anonymous online postings to her social media account. She knew that they were coming from her coworkers, but she could not prove it. Her supervisors said that they were unaware if her coworkers were bullying her on an online forum. They had not said whether she was bullied in person at work, but she believed that she was. Because of this bullying, she felt like she had nowhere to go. She had no escape. That no matter what, her work was being both tormented at work and through social media, and she could not find the culprit. After this took place, she did sadly commit suicide because she felt like she had nowhere else to turn. And this is where companies have to come in. Too often people hide behind social media to threaten and bully others, be it their personal lives, private lives, work life. However, companies have to take a stand. And by doing this, if it's ever turned out that they know who the person is that's doing the bullying, there should be repercussions. So what we found was a couple of ways that companies can address cyberbullying so that they are being ethically responsible as a company and they're creating a work environment that is suitable for everyone. First thing is they can do is make changes to the organization and its culture. They can address cyberbullying and make sure that people know that this is something that is not tolerated. Actually list out what cyberbullying would be and what is not acceptable. They can also create strategies to help strengthen individual managers and leaders. Oftentimes, managers and leaders figure that cyberbullying is part of someone's personal life. But because it's affecting their work life, managers and leaders have to become aware of when these situations are present and how to address them. If it comes out that they know the person who is committing the offense, that it is swiftly and strategically handled so that everyone knows that this is something that will not be tolerated. Third, they can provide support services for the targets of bullying. People who are being bullied should have an avenue of support so they know where and who to turn to when these matters occur. It should not be that they don't feel that they can be heard or that it's something that can be brushed under the rug. Cyberbullying can be very harmful because often the perpetrator will defriend the person on social media, defriend anyone who could defend the person on social media, and then go through and browbeat that person to where they cannot even defend themselves. This is something that should never be tolerated in the workplace, regardless of whether or not the person is one of your friends on Facebook, Instagram, or one of the other various sites. If you say something derogatory that could be considered slanderous remarks, you should be held accountable, especially if that person is a colleague in your work area. Because of accountability, that is our fourth measure. There should be accountability to coach, counsel, and discipline anyone who's a bully in the workplace. It is something that should be, this is a no bully zone, and it doesn't matter when you're there or if you're at home. We do not tolerate bullying. Another way that employers can help cyberbullying is to evaluate the extent to which employees are in contact via technology, including social media. Oftentimes, people are friends on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, but sometimes employers might need to say how often or how much someone should be in contact with each other. They should always define what bullying is, what cyberbullying is, and provide examples. There should be courses as part of their ethical guidelines to address cyberbullying, to make sure that people know what is okay and what is not okay. What we don't want to see is more people taking technology and abusing others with it. Because like the female firefighter, feeling like you have no escape from a cyberbully can cause detrimental harm to yourself and your work, and ultimately society. Workplaces have an ethical obligation to address technology as it comes about. They should never refrain from addressing an issue just because it's not something that they were used to doing before. This is a situation where we have to get ahead of technology to address technology. That is my report on cyberbullying. I hope that we are able to get closer to bringing bullies down and letting them know that this is not something that we tolerate. Have a great day.